morning, students. Welcome to Wednesday and our final day of reading A Doll's House. You're going to finish the play today. I hope you are as excited as I am. Let's get started with our day. Okay, so just to reiterate our goals for the week, we're going to finish reading A Doll's House. We do that today. We're going to understand why A Doll's House is considered feminist, how it remains relevant today, and I would like for you to collaborate with your teacher or classmates at some point during the week. Don't forget, we will be having that Zoom session at 10 a.m. on Friday. I will send a link over Remind. So if you still need to join the class Remind, scroll up to the post right above this one and make sure you text that code to 81010. For today's checklist, we're going to finish the second half of Act 3 of A Doll's House from when Dr. Rank leaves to the end of the play. We're going to finish the play. We're going to consider Torvald's reaction to Krogstad's letters. There's more than one letter. And we're going to consider Nora's actions at the end of the play. Our standard for today is RL6, analyze a particular point of view or cultural experience reflected in a work of literature from outside the United States. This play is from outside the United States. It's from Denmark, so we're going to be considering that particular cultural experience. Our learning target says I can analyze a particular cultural experience by reading A Doll's House so that I can understand why Nora's actions at the end of the play were radical. I'm going to use that word radical over and over again today, so sorry. By the end of the day, it probably won't sound like a word anymore. For our activator today, I want you guys to take a look at this scene from the very end of A Doll's House. This is at the very, very end. It's not the last lines, but it's close to the end, and I want you to listen very intently when Nora talks about her most important duties in life. Get past the giggling over the word duty because she says some really important stuff here. Once you've watched our video, let's dive into our work session. So today we are finishing A Doll's House, and I want you to consider these questions. Consider Torvald's reaction to Krogstad's letters. How does Torvald react after reading the first letter, and how does his behavior change after reading the second letter? Then consider Nora's actions at the end of the play. What does Nora do? What choice does she make? And do you think she made the right decision? Shall we do our reading? All right. Oops, I'm all the way at the bottom. Let's scroll up. All right. So here is Act 3, Part 2 of A Doll's House. The time of day, I keep bringing this up in my notes and my annotations on the play. It was supposed to be like midnight. Like it was supposed to be late at night when they left the party, the costume party. But then they keep doing stuff like they're checking the mail and they're reading letters and they're entertaining visitors and blah, 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 and all this stuff. So I don't know. Maybe these people are just night owls, or maybe it's like New Year's Eve or something. We know it's right around Christmas time. But for whatever reason, a lot of stuff is going on and it's apparently midnight. I don't know. That's weird. This is kind of a throwaway line here, but I wanted to draw your attention to it. Torvald says somebody's been messing with the lock on the mailbox. There's he finds Nora's broken hairpin broken off in the lock. And Nora blames the children. She's like, oh no, the kids must have been playing with the lock. But it's pretty clear that Nora was trying to pick the lock to the mailbox, right, and get the letter back. Total throwaway. It's never even brought up on stage other than that line. We don't get to see Nora picking the lock, but apparently she was trying. She was like desperately trying everything. On top of the letters in the mailbox, they find 2 of Dr. Rank's cards. He's crossed out his name with a black X. Remember, that's how Rank told Nora, I'll let you know when the end has come, by leaving a calling card with my name crossed out. Torvald and Rank are supposed to be like besties, but Torvald says, he with his sufferings and his loneliness was like a cloudy background to our sunlit happiness. So it's like, you guys were best friends, but yet this guy was always dragging you down, like you couldn't stand him. What's up with that? More cutesy animal names right here. Calls her a singing bird. And Torvald's about to get the letter. So Torvald walks out of the room to get the letter out of the mailbox, and Nora is kind of freaking out. She's like, she picks up his coat, she puts his coat around her shoulders, she puts a shawl over her head, she keeps saying, never see my children, never, never, the icy water, the unfathomable depths. So she's still thinking about this this whole kill myself to get out of this problem thing. But again, she never sounds serious about that. It's just such an odd thing for the writer to have put in the play. Torvald reads the letter. I love our stage direction here. Reeling. He's reeling. He says, true, is this true? What I read here, horrible. It's impossible that it can be true. And, of course, it is true, the whole situation. Now Torvald's attitude changes a little. Calls Nora a miserable creature. This is not a cutesy animal name. That's just a straight-up insult. Right here he says, do you understand what you've done? Answer me. Do you understand what you've done? Guys, this is the way that I yell at my 4-year-old when he's done something ridiculous and, like, hurt someone. Like, the other day he like, laid on one of the cats and accidentally hurt it. And I swear to you, I said these, I was like, do you know what you just did to that cat? Answer me. Do you? That's the way Torvald is talking to his wife right now. He's talking to Nora, his grown adult wife, the same way I talk to a preschooler. Nora looks steadily at him, and then we have the stage direction, a growing look of coldness in her face. She's starting to understand the way he's treating her. She is starting to notice. He blames it on her father because her father was a bad person. He's like, your father was want of principle. He had no principles, so you are, so of course you're the exact same as him. You've destroyed all my happiness. You've ruined my future. I am in the power. He can do what he likes with me, anything he likes of me. Give me orders. Blah, blah, blah. Me, 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 me. Very self-centered there, what Torvald is saying. Again, we have some stage directions that show Nora's attitude is shifting here. She's quiet and cold. Torvald says, I shall not allow you to bring up the children. I dare not trust them to you. Earlier in the play, he said that if a mother is deceitful, that her children will grow up to be bad as well. That's why Krogstad was so bad. And now he's saying Nora is not fit to raise her own children. Someone rings the bell. And it's Krogstad with another letter. And it turns out to be another letter from Krogstad. He takes back everything that he said in the first letter. And, of course, Torvald's reaction, I am saved, I am saved. They go back and forth a little bit. Notice the way Nora is speaking here. At the beginning of the play, everything she said was exclamation points and dashes and switched topics all of a sudden and blah, blah, all over the place with hand motions, right? And now she's speaking in these very simple declarative sentences. I have fought a hard fight. That is true. And yes, read it. Like everything she says is suddenly like simple and pretty stoic. So notice the way her speech has changed. Torvald says he's forgiven everything, but after all of the horrible things he just said to her, can those things be unsaid? I don't think those things can be unsaid. We have another little animal metaphor right here. I will protect you like a hunted dove that I have saved from hawk's claws. So not only is Nora a cutesy little dove, but Torvald gets to be her protector. There's something so indescribably sweet and satisfying to a man in the knowledge that he's forgiven his wife. Blech. So Nora walks into the other room. She changes out of her party dress and into her, like, traveling clothes and an everyday dress, it describes it, which is weird because it's late at night, so you'd think she'd be putting on pajamas, but she puts on, like regular day clothes. And then she says to Torvald, sit down, you and I have much to say to one another. Probably the first time in their marriage she's ever given him a command. They have now been married 8 years, and this right now, sitting at the table, this is the first time they've ever had a serious conversation. I don't know about you guys, if you have like a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, but I sit down and have a serious conversation with my husband probably every single day, and they haven't in 8 years. That's like unfathomable to be in 2020. I just, like, it's bizarre, but that's the life Nora's been living. Nora says, you've never understood me. I've been greatly wronged, first by Papa, then by you. Look, here we have the title of the play. Oops, too far. Here we have the title of the play. He called me his doll child, and he played with me just as I used to play with my dolls. Played with Nora as though she were a doll in a dollhouse. That's the title of the play. Nora says, I got the same taste as you, or else I pretended to. I'm not really sure which. Have you ever spent so much time with someone that whatever it was that they loved, you loved it too, and then you weren't ever really sure if, well, do I actually like this thing, or is it just that I like you and you like this thing? That's how Nora's feeling now about everything. She says Torvald's always been kind, but that their house has never been any more than a plaything for her. Torvald's apologizing. She's like, she's very upset with Torvald, and she's speaking to him in a way that he's never been spoken to before. And he says, "Why are you paying attention to what I said in anger?" And, I think that's where he can't take back those horrible things that he said. And Nora says right here, "I'm going away from here now at once. I'm sure Christine will take me into the night." Torvald forbids her from going. Y'all, if you're ever in a relationship and the other person tries to forbid you from something, you need to run away. That's a red flag. Torvald, in the midst of trying to convince her to stay with him, calls her a blind, foolish woman, because apparently that's how you convince someone to not divorce you, is by calling them blind and foolish. Here's your really important part right here. Nora says, "What do you consider my most sacred duties?" And Torvald says, "They're your duties to your husband and your children." Excuse me. I sneezed at the most important part of the play. Sorry, guys. Anyway, Nora says, "I have other duties just as sacred." Torvald says, "What could that possibly be? What's more important than your duties to your husband and your children?" And she says, "Duties to myself." I'm a mom. I've got 2 kids. And I know a lot of mothers whose entire identity is being their kid's mom. Like, they'll introduce themselves as, "I'm Aiden's mom," or "I'm Lily's mom." That's not okay. It's a little scary that you hinge your entire identity on someone else, on another person, even if it is your kid. And Nora is now suddenly realizing that she doesn't know who she is. Outside of being her father's daughter, her husband's wife, her children's mother, who is she? What is her personality? What does she like? What does she care about? She feels like she needs to go figure that out. And Torvald says, "Before all else, you're a wife and mother." And here's where we get one of my favorite lines in the whole play. She says, "Before all else, I'm a human being." So, like, before I'm a wife, before I'm a mom, before I'm anything else, I'm a person. And she's feeling like it's time she's been treated like one. Torvald, a couple seconds later, calls her a girl, like literally calling her a child, even now while she's about to walk out on him, and she is about to leave him, y'all. Like, she's going. Nora's aware of how ignorant she is about the world, which kind of shows how much she's grown throughout the play, because at the beginning of the play, she's like, "I can't believe a law would ever not let me protect my husband," and now she's like, "Yeah, I don't understand crap, so I'm going to go out and try and figure this world out on my own," which is what she thinks is very important. The wonderful thing that Nora referred to throughout the play was this idea that Torvald would have found out about the whole thing and loved her anyway, said it was his fault, taken the blame, protected her. Except when he found out about that, the wonderful thing didn't happen. Instead, he screamed at her, lambasted her, yelled at her, just basically acted like the worst person ever. She says it feels like she's been living with a stranger for so long. She's going to leave. She's leaving the kids with Anne, the nanny or the nurse, to raise them. She gives him his ring back. She walks out. And she says the only chance they have of ever getting back together is if the two of them change so much that their marriage could be like a real marriage. But she no longer believes in such things as that happening. And then she walks out, and we hear the sound of a door slamming from below. Probably the most famous sound effect in a play, like, ever. Nora walks out on her kids. And her husband. Yeah, but the kids are the part that usually students really pick up on. They're like, "Okay, so you walked out on your husband. He was awful, but you walked out on the kids." So I just really want you to consider that. Do you think she made the right choice at the end? Do you think her duties to herself, as she puts it, are in fact more sacred than her duties to her children? All right, for our closing session today, everybody always asks, can we watch the movie when we do something like this? So I have given you the movie. You are not required to watch this whole thing, but if you would like to, I've linked it to YouTube right here for you. Looking ahead to tomorrow's checklist, we are going to be reading 3 articles tomorrow. An article on toxic masculinity from the New York Times. We're going to look at a comic about the concept of mental load, and we're going to read this depressing study on how women are expected to do everything. And that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the play. Please throw me a comment here on YouTube or on the blog if you did like it. And I will be back tomorrow with more stuff. Bye, guys.